Oh, I'm wearing the wrong hat. Alright, guys. So, last night I come across this YouTube video. I'm just scrolling down before I go to sleep. I'm just scrolling down my YouTube recommended feed, and I see First Take on ESPN has uploaded a video, and it's about the New York Giants. Now, we're going to talk about this clip in just a moment. Now, I just want to quickly point out that I cannot show the clip, so the video will be in the description. I do not want to get copyright because, you know, I like getting paid for my videos, just so you know, so I'm not trying to get copyright strike in any way or get my channel flagged for anything, because we are going to speak pretty badly about the First Take cast. But I am going to tell you what Stephen A. and Max Kellerman say here. Now, they totally are so ignorant. And keep in mind, Molly Karam, the moderator, I guess you can say, for First Take, she's not really a moderator since she puts her 2 cents into everything, but Molly Karam and Max Kellerman are both Giants fans. Let's keep that in mind. It doesn't seem like that when they're on TV at all. They show no optimism for the Giants whatsoever. I know Molly sort of sticks for her team a little bit, but Max Kellerman, in every way, shape, or form, just has to bash Eli and the Giants organization time and time again, shows no support in them whatsoever. So basically, we're going to start off with Max Kellerman. He brings up that Eli is coming back next year, and he does mention some heartbreaking but some factual statements about Eli Manning. You know how his inaccuracies, his inability to throw certain throws anymore, and the fact of him being shell-shocked because of that offensive line. Obviously, he's had a terrible offensive line for about over 5 years now, so you gotta imagine the guy has feels like he's got something over his shoulder every time he touches the ball. Then after those statements, Max Kellerman silently just gives the roll on to Stephen A. And Stephen A. pauses for about 5 seconds, 5 whole seconds, and the first thing that comes out of his mouth, mind you, this is regarding Eli Manning, the first thing that comes out of his mouth is that the Giants are finished. I mean, he just sighs and says the Giants are finished, and the Giants are gonna be finished next year as well, which makes no sense because this is Eli's last year on the roster. Obviously, Stephen A. does not know that because he does not know football, but he said the Giants are finished next year as well. So obviously he's saying that because of Eli Manning. He feels like the Giants are finished because of Eli Manning, not because of who's protecting Eli in any way, shape, or form, but just Eli Manning, which, as we know as Giants fans, is not the case whatsoever. Does Eli Manning have his problems? Absolutely. Do you think we should sign Eli Manning for a contract next year? No, absolutely not. It's time to bring in a new guy. I think we've all accepted that as New York Giants fans. Then he proceeds to add on to Max Kellerman's statements saying, Max, you're a Giants fan. How many times have you came in this office off camera and wanted to throw something because of a throw that Eli has made? And obviously, all Giants fans have experienced that, but all Giants fans at the end of the day know that, yes, Eli Manning has his faults, and yes, he's a risk taker and things like that. We've seen that throughout his whole entire career. He's thrown some bad interceptions, but we can't act like it's all on Eli, like it's not his offensive line that hasn't been able to block anything for the past 5 years. And here's where my head wanted to explode. Molly then mentioned maybe it's not just Eli, maybe it's the coaching, which is a fair kind of statement there. We all didn't want to get rid of Tom Coughlin. We all felt like he was not the problem, although we did feel like there needed to be change, but we wanted the GM to be changed, which was Jerry Reese at the time, and we got rid of Coughlin, which was, you know, back and forth between a lot of Giants fans. So she brings up Tom Coughlin. She then brings up Ben McAdoo, which I think we all can agree was a terrible, terrible fit for the Giants. And then she proceeds to talk about Pat Shurmer. Maybe Pat Shurmer is the issue here. And Stephen A. 100% agrees with that statement, which is mind-boggling. His statements and facts to back that up, that statement that Pat Shurmer was the wrong hire here, and Gettleman, that they didn't warrant to have a job with the New York Giants. His facts to back that up are, I mean, brain cell burning statements. I'm telling you guys, you're gonna lose brain cells after watching this video. By the end of this video, you are going to feel 5% dumber. I guarantee you. He tries to knock on Dave Gettleman, and the only thing he has to say, with his time in Carolina, the only thing he has to say is that Dave Gettleman was the guy to get rid of Josh Norman for next to nothing, but completely ignores what Dave Gettleman did with the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers were a god-awful organization before Dave Gettleman got there, and then 4 years later, led them to the Super Bowl by building in the trenches, built up that defensive line, built up that offensive line, provided weapons for Cam Newton, and got them to a Super Bowl run in which they went 15-1. 2 years later, they get rid of him because of the whole Josh Norman situation. They didn't feel like they should move forward with Dave Gettleman. I don't remember what really went on with the Carolina Panthers and Dave Gettleman, but Dave Gettleman did a hell of a job with the Carolina Panthers, and all that Stephen A could say is that Dave Gettleman let Josh Norman go for next to nothing. Mind you, what has Josh Norman done with the Washington Redskins and since he's left the Carolina Panthers? I have not seen Josh Norman but on the back of a cereal box in years now. Josh Norman has done nothing in the NFL. Is he mentioned as a top 10 cornerback? No. Is he mentioned as a top 15 cornerback? No. Matter of fact, the only time I've seen Josh Norman on any type of headlines in the NFL media was him getting burnt by other people in the NFL, was him getting completely demolished by other receivers in the NFL. He's done absolutely nothing with the Redskins, and I guarantee you, him leaving the Carolina Panthers has done nothing to that organization. They brung in James Bradbury, who has had his struggles, but Josh Norman wasn't going to have the same success with the Panthers as he had before. He's just completely died off. And then he says that Josh Norman, the departure of Josh Norman was extremely significant in what the Carolina Panthers are going through right now as far as the defense goes. But obviously, he fails to mention that it's mostly the defensive line for the Carolina Panthers that's really in shambles right now. You got a couple people retiring on that defensive line, but just ignores that fact and just wants to bring up Josh Norman. So basically what he's trying to say is Dave Gettleman does not deserve to have the job in New York as the Giants GM because of him letting go of Josh Norman. I mean, what kind of football is Stephen A watching right now? He must not be watching the same football that we all are watching in the United States right now. I mean, globally, worldwide. He must not be watching the same football that we're watching. His film on Josh Norman must be right next to the 2018 Hunter Henry highlights and Dwayne Haskins running like the next coming of Michael Vick. Then he talks about Pat Shurmer, and he asks this question: what has Pat Shurmer done to warrant a head coaching job for the New York Giants in his career? I literally had to pause. I literally just had to pause and rethink what he just said. Now, I'll be completely fair. I was questionable of the head coaching hire for Pat Shurmer, but did I think he deserved a head coaching job? Absolutely. And was Dave Gettleman ultimately right on the guy he chose? Absolutely. I thought Pat Shurmer was the guy for the New York Giants. I think now he is the guy for the New York Giants. But he says, what did Pat Shurmer do? Let's see here. He orchestrated a fantastic offense with Case Keenum at quarterback. What has Case Keenum done in his career with the Rams, the Texans, and most recently, the Denver Broncos? And let's not forget to mention what Pat Shurmer did with the Philadelphia Eagles I believe he was the offensive coordinator over there, or the quarterback's coach, whatever he was over there. He definitely succeeded over there in Philadelphia. Not to mention, he was one of the better head coaches for the Browns in recent years, of course, before Baker Mayfield. He had 9 wins in 2 seasons with the Cleveland Browns, and before Baker Mayfield, that was actually pretty damn good. The only head coach that had more wins was Mike Pettin, that had 10 wins in 2 seasons. He was 10-22. By the way, Stephen A. Smith does mention Pat Shurmer's 9-23 record as a head coach in the NFL, but fails to mention that he was coaching the Cleveland Browns. So you could understand how that's a little misleading there. I mean, it doesn't matter which coach you throw there for the Cleveland Browns, they're just not going to do well. You look at Hugh Jackson, the guy couldn't manage to get 3 wins in his career with the Browns in about 2.5 seasons. So you got to applaud Pat Shurmer for getting 9 wins in 2 seasons with the Browns back in 2011 and 2012. So obviously, Pat Shurmer does deserve a job in the NFL, and we'll leave that at that. And then he talks about Dave Gettleman and how Dave Gettleman only hired Pat Shurmer. Believe it or not, he only hired Pat Shurmer because of comfortability. He wanted Pat Shurmer because it's comfortable. What does that mean? Do you hire an employee against the grain of everything you believe in a candidate for your organization? Should you take risks in your organization's success by going against the grain and hiring a risky candidate? So I'm just confused. What does that mean, Stephen A? Dave Gettleman was too comfortable in hiring Pat Shurmer. Was he supposed to take a risk and go against the grain and just hire a guy that he really didn't believe would make it out there, that he didn't believe would be a good fit for the New York Giants? Then he ends by saying that Pat Shurmer had an insufficient resume to coach in the NFL, to be a head coach for the New York Giants. So I want to bring up Stephen A. Smith's favorite head coach in the world. I mean, Stephen A. Smith will go out in a skirt and some pom-poms in the winter of Pittsburgh for this guy, and we're talking about Mike Tomlin. Now, you could argue, what did Mike Tomlin do to deserve a head coaching job in Pittsburgh? I mean, he's been a defensive back coach in the NFL. He's had some college experience, but he's only had one season as a defensive coordinator, that when he was with the Minnesota Vikings in 2006. What did he do to be a head coach? He's only had one season as a defensive coordinator in the NFL. He gets brought on to the Pittsburgh Steelers to be their head coach. What did he do? Well, I'll tell you right now, it's because he was a leader of men. And by the way, Stephen A. Smith also mentioned that the only reason why Dave Gettleman hired him because he was a leader of men. So I guess a little hypocritical there from Stephen A. And the last thing I want to bring up is that they seriously had a conversation. They know Eli is coming back in 2019, so let's just leave that there. They know this. They know Eli Manning is coming back next year. They literally had the conversation. Would you have Nick Foles brought on the roster or Dwayne Haskins? And Max Kellerman said another brain cell burning answer. He'd rather have Nick Foles on there on the roster in 2019, obviously with Eli Manning there. So you want to have a $16 million quarterback in Nick Foles. He's going to get paid that kind of money. He's not going onto a team that is not going to pay him that type of money. You want a $16 million quarterback to be on a roster with a $20 million quarterback. Even if you were to restructure Eli Manning's contract, you're still going to want to paying this guy $15 million. So you want to spend that kind of money on those two quarterbacks, then have Dwayne Haskins on your team. I mean, just brain cell burning. I mean, I swear, I think I got dumber. I got dumber, guys. I apologize if I make any videos that sound really dumb. Maybe this video is dumb. They made me this way. First Take and ESPN made me this way. You guys cannot believe what you watch on TV as far as mainstream sports media goes. ESPN is the exact equivalent of CNN. ESPN is CNN of the sports world. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like I said, the link of that original video is in the description below. Leave a like if you guys enjoyed, comment your thoughts, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you guys in the next video.